Ladies and gentlemen, the Shyamalan has returned. Knock at the Cabin was directed by M. Night Shyamalan, stars Dave Bautista and Jonathan Groff. In here, a man is on vacation with his family just to have a good time. It's him and his kids. But when a group of men arrive at the cabin and pose them with a problem where they must either prioritize themselves or the fate of the world, everything is going to go upside down. Knock at the Cabin has had a lot of attention. I think it's probably the most anticipated movie of the first premiere 14 days of February, possibly, aside from Ant-Man. This movie has had a lot of publicity around it, a lot of buzz. I think there are people going in wanting to hate it, some wanting to love it. But I was really interested. I wanted to see what it had to offer, and I have to say, I've seen it, and Knock at the Cabin is pretty good. It was a bit of a letdown for me. I really was hoping for more from this movie. It was marketed as something that was going to be just so huge and scary and thought-provoking, and for the most part, it hits most of those beats very well. I think this movie, on the side of it being very thought-provoking and very meaningful, has a lot there to offer. It really does give you parts of this movie where you sit down and you're like, wow, that's a really great idea. This movie's full of great ideas. It's just a lot of these ideas aren't fully fleshed out, and that leaves them kind of just in limbo. They lay dormant on the side, and you kind of are thinking in the back of your head, we got to resolve that. And it's got so much fun in it. It's got ideas that are fun. It's fun in the sense of these ideas are really good, and when they're executed properly, they're pretty solid. I say the main plot itself is solid, which I won't give away because I think you should watch that yourself because they've already put out way too many clips from this already. But I don't know, the movie didn't stand up as hard as it should have. However, let's talk about performances. Dave Bautista. My God, this guy had a turnaround. This man has range. This guy was different in this movie. And I know there's a lot to be said about pro wrestlers that go to act in movies, but I have to say Bautista truly did offer a performance that was way stronger than I thought it was going to be. And that was surprising for me. I didn't think it would be in this level. Jonathan Groff, it's so nice to see him moved up. He went from being in Hamilton, where he was really good. He was in The Matrix, the latest movie. I don't even remember the name of it. That should tell you how bad it was. And now he's here, and he lands a very solid role. There's a lot to be said about the way these characters are written. That's one good thing about this movie, and Shyamalan usually does get right, is the characters feel very real. This movie feels more about the people within the story than it does about everything else going on, because while the plot is important, these people are what are going to make or break the movie, and they, for the large part, are really, really good. I think some of the other guys working with Bautista could have been written a little better, but they're not supposed to be the focus, so I get why they're not. This movie is directed beautifully, and it is shot wonderfully. It has a really great pace to it. It doesn't feel too long. It feels just about on cue. My biggest takeaway from this movie was the fear factor. It was supposed to be scary. It was supposed to be like, ooh, but it really wasn't. It felt really basic things that we've seen 100 times over to be scary, and they didn't work a lot of the times for me. A lot of the time I found it to be underwhelming, and I wasn't as, wrapped up and like, ooh, as I wanted to be. And that took away from the movie. And again, like I said, the untied threads were not the best. But overall, the movie's pretty good. It's a pretty solid movie, I think. It has some cool scenes in it. There's a really great sequence in the third act that's just before the end that I think is really good. I don't want to spoil it. It's fantastic, though. And I'd say this movie's strongest point that I actually forgot to mention, which kind of I feel bad about now, is the containment. This movie takes place primarily with just these people. It's not really a lot of people, and I like movies like this where just there's enough to focus on and the area is enough, and it really played that well. So I say there's a lot to this movie. There's beats from old things we've seen before, but overall it's pretty solid. I would say go check out Knock at the Cabin. It's a watch that does lend itself to you having a good experience, and I think it would probably be a good experience in the theater too. I'm going to give Knock at the Cabin a 6 out of 10. So thank you guys always so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you all next time.